On today's video, we're going to talk about an e-commerce website. We're going to review it, talk about the design, user experience, flow, all the nitty-gritty details. It's actually a Webflow website integrated with a Shopify website. Let's rock and roll. Hey everybody, what's up and welcome to another website review. Finally, I have the setup of the office all nice with the background, with the lights, with the microphone. So I hope everything is looking great and sounding crispy. I'll do kind of a studio review soon, but today I want to focus on the e-commerce website. So here's the website that we'll be discussing. It's called Itemins. It's a product for blue light. I didn't even know, but turns out like screen time is the new smoking. So this is basically the product, some kind of a supplement here that they're selling. And let's get started with the heroes section. Basically, I have to say first impression, it looks nice. It looks clean with the kind of the curvy background and a good product shot. If there's one thing that I would improve here is I wouldn't want to see this. This kind of adds the first paragraph visual clutter here. I think it would look much cleaner if you wouldn't see this. Let me just do kind of inspect element here and let's see how they've structured this. So this is basically the intro section, as you can see, and you can see here they've set a minimum height 90% visual height. But if we would do 100%, let me change this to, wait a second, 100% vertical height. Yeah, now you see. So now the hero takes up 100% and then you scroll and you get here. I feel like this is much better. This is much cleaner where you don't see this intro text and then you scroll into it. I think this looks much better. The next thing that I want to mention is actually the typography and the font that they're using here. So I do understand that they wanted to keep using this font, which is basically the font that they have been using in the logo here. However, when you look at the packaging, they're only using kind of a regular and light version of the font, but in the website, they're actually using mostly bold kind of versions of the font. And when I was trying to read this, it's actually, first of all, I don't feel like it's very readable. And the second thing is, note this, screen time is the new smoking. It doesn't look very scary when it's all kind of a roundy, nicey font. I feel like they should have mixed probably two different typefaces. I do understand wanting to kind of follow along with the logo, but you don't always have to use only one font because that's the font of the logo. You can do something, in this case, I feel like you probably want to go with something that looks a little bit more medical or, trustworthy. So probably some kind of a clean sans serif to complement that. Maybe you could use two fonts, or maybe you don't have to use that font at all. The fact that it's used in the packaging does not mean that you have to use the whole website for it, right? It's not perhaps very readable, and especially check out the super bold version of the font. It's kind of like chubby and cute, and it doesn't look very, very serious. So that's my main kind of thing here. I do like these interactions and kind of the 3D effect that you get when you hover over these. However, when you hover over the Shop Now button, nothing happened. There's no indication and no hover state for it, which is very actually weird. Now you have hover state, and the main call to action button do not have hover states. That's pretty weird, and I would probably look into changing that. Now, I do like this. I do like the smoking is the new, screen time is the new smoking. The image is a little bit pixelated, and I do kind of feel weird that they're not very clear about when they're going to use capital letters or when they're not here, because the product doesn't have capital letter, but here you are using capital letters. You do use capital letters. Here you're not using capital letters. To me, it just looks a little bit inconsistent and maybe a little bit less professional. However, it's not that critical. What's more critical is when I'm scrolling down here and I see it works in three ways. Now, people are lazy on the web. They're usually scheming and not reading. So I do not want to read this whole paragraph, specifically in the not so fun to read font. And there's nothing to help me here. So there's just 1, 2, 3. Now, two different things that you could do to help me scheme faster and get the information faster is, one, maybe use icons that can, facilitate the understanding easier, or maybe just give titles. Give titles like 4 words to each one of those just to sum that up for me. And if that's interesting, maybe I want to dive deeper and read more, but help me scheme, help me understand things faster. And this is, I feel, a kind of a missed opportunity here with the 1, 2, 3. A video, this is great. I don't know, maybe you should have put the video somewhere here in the top or maybe somewhere here, because I feel video is important. But then we're getting down here. This is like all the website is kind of like clean and good looking. I feel like good design, and suddenly we're in this kind of a gray zone that looks completely different and completely under-designed, I would say. I feel like this is kind of like under-designed and not very helpful. I feel like if you would kind of mix them up, maybe here, maybe also with icons, or just make this look consistent with the rest of how the rest of the website looks like. Maybe something like this. This looks great, and this I feel like looks horrible. Looks kind of an 80s, really kind of like, you know, supplement medicine ads, and that's really bad. And here, scrolling down, it's also pretty confusing because I see 2 ingredients and then I have 3 columns. So I'm not really sure what's relating to what. Is this has to do with this column or this column? Or are they not, you know, correlated? The text is not correlated to the image. So this is a confusing layout. And again, as I've mentioned, using titles is something that can really help the users scheme faster, you know, grab the information that they're looking for very fast. And this website, I feel, kind of underutilized titles or subtitles in these in the website itself. All right, I want to dive a little bit into the second part of the website, which is what happens when you click the shop now. So this, as you can see, this is actually a Webflow website. It looks great. The fact that I know it's a Webflow website is I'm usually doing kind of like inspect, and then I'm trying to see, or maybe just view page source. I always kind of look, I do search for Webflow or something. Webflow, yeah, and I can see that in the code there's something Webflow, then I know it's a Webflow website. And I wasn't sure if they're using Webflow's e-commerce or something else, because I see that when I click the button, it moved into a different domain. See c.itemins.com, and I wasn't sure why they're doing this, so I went here, and then I was looking, oh, this looks like a different code, so I searched for Shopify, and then, yeah, I can see that this is a Shopify website. And you can see that now that they've moved into a Shopify website, it's actually a different kind of template for the website. Now, so it looks like you've moved into a little bit of a different website, a little bit of a different navigation here. And let's talk about the design here. So first of all, I see something here that looks like a button and says sale, but apparently I'm trying to click it. It's not a button, but it looks like a button. So this is a little bit confusing. Now we have here product shot. I don't really like this hover effect because I find it a little bit confusing when I move the cursor. But we do have a text here. Suddenly the font is really much smaller than if you would, this is the website that we came from. So we're already kind of regular, or we read a bunch of text like with big font, and it's pretty comfortable to read. Now we moved here, the text is suddenly all so small, and I don't know I don't know if this is kind of like something that's baked in like normal Shopify template, but I don't know why there's no padding here, so this is totally unreadable, the description here. And then there's how to use, and then I see these icons, so I'm not sure if that's how to use and these are the how to use, but it doesn't make any sense. But then I click it and I see that this actually opens something else. So this whole component I feel is very unreadable. It's not really helping me to read. I have obviously buy with PayPal is very, very much more important than the add to cart. I'm not sure why this is the main call to action. I would think that this is the main call to action, add to cart, and this is just like another checkout option. But I'm not sure. I'm scrolling here. There is no color or some differentiation to understand that this is the footer. Initially, when I was scrolling here, I was like, is this some more information about the product or something? And it took me a while to understand, oh no, this is the footer. So I don't know if this is just a template or this has been customized. Oh, I see here, powered by Shopify. So I would redesign this to make it clear that, this is the product and this is the end of the product and this is now something else. So you should focus on this area if you want to buy. Also, this kind of like too many buttons here. Why would I want to share on Facebook now that I'm buying something and tweet it or pin it? Or there's just so much stuff going on here. Again, this sale thing looks like a button that's even more prominent than these buttons. So I feel like the design here is pretty confusing. Again, I don't know if this is standard or it's been customized to look that way, but yeah, right now I feel pretty much confused. So I don't think this is a great product page. Let's go into the add to cart and see what happens. So add to cart basically looks like, yeah, another page with not much in it, pretty much the same. And then place order, and that takes you to kind of a checkout page. Yeah, okay, so this is, and I think there has been some other thing that's been implemented here, which is, yeah, subscription model used by kind of a service called Recharge, it seems, but that's also kind of a weird looking pop-up or not well designed. I don't know why the button is cropped here. But so there has been another integration here. So let's talk a minute about this integration of Webflow and Shopify and maybe this other integration of a subscription model into it. I know that for so a lot of people ask me about Webflow's e-commerce. Is it big enough? Is it good enough to build the shop on? And I say, even though it's progressing rapidly, it still doesn't have all the features, obviously, that Shopify has. So it really depends on what you need as a store owner or what your client needs as a store owner. For example, here, maybe because they needed this kind of subscription add-on or plugin that I guess Webflow doesn't have at this point, they had to integrate it with Shopify, and these things happen. Obviously, it's pretty easy to do the integration because basically you have kind of a landing page, a sales page that is this one, and then they're just linking it to another domain. So doing the integration this way is pretty easy. However, I do feel like experience-wise, there's some kind of a gap when you're moving into completely a different area. The navigation looks different, so it looks like you've moved into kind of a little bit of a lower like a website with a less nicer design. One more thing that I wanted to say, by the way, is that you're adding the cart, and now you still have all this navigation when you're inside your cart. Anyway, I don't think it's a great checkout experience. However, yeah, you still, for some e-commerce shops still need all those additional plugins and features that only Shopify has, and the only way, if they want to use a custom design Webflow sales page, they have to integrate them both. And I guess they did it successfully here, even though I do feel like there's some elements which could have been improved on both sides, by the way, on the Webflow website and on the e-commerce, on the Shopify template. So it is what it is, I guess. And they had to integrate the services, which gave them all the features that they need. I would love to hear from you, because personally, I have to say I haven't built a lot of e-commerce website myself. So let me know in the comments what's important for you when you're building e-commerce website, what's important for you, or maybe for the clients that you work with, what features you'd like to see, and what is important in the process of design and building. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you on the next video.